"5 years ago, a man is driving along a beach in North Wales. He's a retired detective sergeant and a frequent visitor to the beauty spot. But today is different. Today, Raymond Ketland will make a decision that will take him to jail. He joins a group of men who are abusing a young girl. Ketland is a Freemason, and the man who invites him into the group is also a Freemason. The prosecution said that Ketland told the police that he had just parked at this beach when a group of men walked past. He recognized one of these men as a member of his Masonic lodge. This man came over to Ketland and invited him to join in the fun, pointing to a young girl who was with the group of men. Ketland follows the group of men into some nearby bushes, unaware of the risks he is about to take. Later, he will be secretly filmed abusing the girl himself. The man behind the camera is Fred Lawler from Abergele. He's also the organizer of the group. Lawler gained control of the girl when she was 13 and groomed the vulnerable youngster into becoming a sex slave. On these beaches in North Wales, Lawler instructed the girl to have sex with strangers. She later told the police that 50 different men were involved. Lawler filmed many of these encounters, sometimes openly, but often in secret. It was these videos that were to provide the evidence to bring some of the abusers to book. At his trial in April 2006, the judge told Lawler,
"The full extent of the psychological damage you have inflicted on this young girl won't be known for many years. You have completely ruined any immediate chance you may have had of leading a full life. You carried on despite being investigated by police and even had the affront to write to the chief constable claiming that officers were harassing you."
Lawler's ring of abuse was smashed after North Wales Police launched a surveillance operation codenamed Operation Furley. It began after a member of the public reported seeing sexual activity. When police raided Fred Lawler's flat in Abergele, they discovered thousands of videos. Police found videos of the girl being abused and isolated 17 men whose faces were clear enough to be identified. One of them was the retired detective sergeant Raymond Ketland. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of having sexual activity with a child, taking an indecent image, and facilitating a child sex offence. He was jailed for 2.5 years. He was one of 15 men jailed for a total of nearly 56 years. One of them was extradited from the United States. In 2006, Lawler was given an indefinite sentence to be reviewed after 15 years. Lawler is also a man with a history of extreme violence against women. In 1982, he was convicted of actual bodily harm after he repeatedly punched his then-girlfriend and then jumped on her stomach. She was 7 months pregnant. 5 years later, he was convicted of attacking another partner. He tried to electrocute her by putting the flex from an electric fire into her bath. When that failed, he picked up a knife and stabbed her repeatedly. He was jailed for 7 years. After the North Wales sex abuse case, the body of another of Lawler's partners was discovered. She'd been missing since 1999. Her sister saw a picture of Lawler on television and reminded the police she was still missing. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2007. In the North Wales sex abuse case, 2 men remain unidentified despite widespread police appeals. These pictures of the 2 men were released by the North Wales Police. The images come from videos taken by Fred Lawler as the girl was being sexually abused. Also at large is the Freemason who Raymond Catlin says introduced him to the ring. At his trial, the prosecution said Catlin told police this Mason was a member of the same Masonic lodge. This is the Llandudno headquarters of the Freemasons in North Wales. The provincial secretary wouldn't tell us the name of Catlin's lodge. There is one way to find out what lodge Catlin belongs to, and that's by consulting a copy of the provincial yearbook which lists most members. But the North Wales province is a closed book when it comes to giving out copies to journalists. It wouldn't give one to Rebecca. The latest edition we have is 16 years old. We went to see Raymond Catlin at his home in North Wales to ask him if he would tell us the name of the missing Mason. He wasn't in. A half an hour after we went to see him, we rang Catlin at his home. He told us that the prosecution had got it wrong at his trial. The missing Mason wasn't a member of his Masonic lodge, and he never knew who he was. He told us that if we could find the man, he would give evidence against him. Catlin added that when the man came up to him on the beach, he noticed that he was wearing cufflinks, which indicated he held a provincial rank. He said that he only recognized him because he'd seen him from a distance at a Masonic social function. Now there are 2 different stories about the missing Mason. In the prosecution version at the trial, he's a member of Catlin's lodge. But Catlin now insists he's a provincial Grand Lodge member whose name he never knew. The average lodge has less than 100 members, but there are thousands of Masons in the provincial Grand Lodge.